Imagine two people who both decide to learn the exact same skill. Maybe it's graphic design, coding, video editing, copywriting, or even investing. One person spends months watching tutorials, taking notes, buying online courses, saving bookmarks, collecting certificates. A year later, they've learned a lot, but they've earned exactly $0. The second person also starts learning, but every step they take has one simple goal: turn knowledge into value. A year later, they're getting clients, building an audience, selling products, or maybe they've even turned that one skill into a full-time business. So, what was the difference? It wasn't intelligence. It wasn't talent. It wasn't luck. It was understanding something most people never realize. Learning and earning are two completely different games, and there's a bridge between them. Today, we're going to explore that bridge. I call it the learning to earning pipeline, a simple 5-step framework that can help transform a useful skill into opportunities to earn income. By the end of this video, you'll understand why so many people stay stuck in learning mode and how to move beyond it. Let's start with something that almost everyone has experienced. Have you ever finished a course, closed the laptop, and immediately wondered, now what? For a moment, you feel productive. You've completed another lesson, taken another class, maybe even earned another certificate. But nothing in your life actually changes. No customers, no new opportunities, no extra income. That's because information alone has very little value. Applied knowledge creates value. Think about learning to swim. You could read 10 books about swimming, watch 100 videos, memorize every technique. But until you get into the water, you're not really becoming a swimmer. Skills work exactly the same way. Knowledge is the map. Practice is the journey. Step 1. Learn. Every skill starts here. You gather information, study the fundamentals, understand the basics. This stage is exciting because progress feels fast. Every video teaches something new. Every book opens another door. But there's a hidden trap. Learning feels productive, sometimes so productive that people never leave this stage. Psychologists call this the illusion of competence. The more information we consume, the more capable we feel, even when we haven't actually used any of it. Learning is important, but it's only the beginning. Step 2. Practice. This is where real growth begins, because practice exposes something learning never can: your weaknesses. The first logo you design won't be amazing. The first website you build will have mistakes. Your first sales call may be awkward. Your first video might only get 10 views. That's completely normal. Imagine learning to ride a bicycle. Nobody expects perfection on the first attempt. You wobble, you fall, you adjust. Each mistake teaches something a textbook never could. The people who improve fastest aren't the ones avoiding mistakes. They're the ones making small mistakes consistently. Practice transforms information into ability. Step 3. Document. Here's the step most people skip. As you practice, share what you're learning. Write about it. Record videos. Post examples. Show your progress. Not because you're an expert, because you're creating proof. Imagine hiring 2 freelance designers. One says they're good. The other shows 50 projects they've completed. Who would you trust? Exactly. People believe what they can see. Documenting your journey builds credibility long before you're considered an expert. It also creates something even more valuable: an audience. People enjoy following progress. They relate to beginners who are improving. And over time, that trust becomes incredibly valuable. Step 4. Teach. Now, here's something surprising. Teaching doesn't require knowing everything. It simply requires knowing more than the person you're helping. Think back to school. Who often explained difficult concepts best? Not always the smartest student. Sometimes it was the classmate who had just figured it out. Why? Because the struggle was still fresh in their mind. Teaching forces you to organize your thoughts, fill in knowledge gaps, and explain ideas simply. It's one of the fastest ways to deepen your own understanding. Imagine trying to explain compound interest to a friend. The moment they ask a question you can't answer, you instantly know what you still need to learn. Teaching doesn't just help others. It accelerates your own growth. Step 5. Sell. Only now does money enter the picture, because by this stage, you've built something valuable. You have a skill, you've practiced it, you've documented your work, you've built trust, you've helped people. Selling no longer feels like convincing strangers. It becomes offering a solution. Maybe you freelance. Maybe you create templates. Maybe you sell a course. Maybe you launch a digital product. Maybe companies hire you because they've seen your work. Notice something interesting. The income is simply a result of the previous 4 stages. Too many people try to start here. They want to sell before they've created value. That's like opening a restaurant before learning to cook. Now, imagine 2 people again. The first spends 12 months consuming information. The second spends 12 months following this pipeline: learning, practicing, documenting, sharing, then offering a service. Even if both started with exactly the same knowledge, their lives will likely look very different after a year. Not because one learned more, because one created value that other people could actually see. There's another reason this framework works. Each stage naturally strengthens the next. Learning gives you ideas. Practice gives you experience. Documenting creates proof. Teaching builds trust. And trust creates opportunities. Sometimes those opportunities are clients. Sometimes they're job offers. Sometimes partnerships. Sometimes products. The exact outcome will be different for everyone, but the principle stays the same. The more value you create and demonstrate, the more opportunities tend to appear. Here's another mistake people make. They believe they need permission before sharing what they know. I'm not an expert. I don't have enough experience. But there are people who know much more than me. That's true. There always will be. But there are also thousands of people who know less than you. Think about climbing a mountain. The person 5 steps ahead can still help the person 1 step behind. You don't have to stand at the summit to offer value. Sometimes You just need to keep climbing and be willing to turn around and share what you've learned. So, what should you take away from all of this? Stop measuring success by how many courses you've completed. Instead, ask yourself 5 simple questions. What am I learning? How am I practicing it? What proof of my progress am I creating? Who can I help with what I already know? And finally, how could this skill create value for someone else? If you can't answer those questions, you may still be collecting knowledge instead of building a career. Because the goal isn't to know more, it's to become more useful. The internet has made learning easier than ever before. Almost any skill is just a few clicks away. But earning from a skill still requires something most people avoid: consistent action. The people who succeed aren't always the smartest. They're the ones who keep moving through the pipeline instead of getting stuck at the first step. So, choose one skill, learn it, practice it, document your progress, share what you discover. And when you've created real value, don't be afraid to offer that value to the world. Because knowledge sitting in a notebook changes very little. Knowledge turned into action can change your entire future.